Welcome to Life Hacks Beyond Convention with Dee and Sonia. We never had holidays when I was a kid. We wouldn't have had the money to. We went to visit a couple of relatives in the country on the York Peninsula, but it wasn't a holiday. It was often tied to some event, a major birthday or someone's passing or something like that. So it wasn't a holiday. I think the first time my parents went on holiday, I was an adult working and my sister would have been school age, and they got stationed to Tennant Creek for Telstra, and then when they left there, they tagged a holiday on and did a drive holiday, and that was the first holiday they'd been on. So, whereas...
Yeah, I was really lucky, I guess. We had a caravan. We never went on... I don't ever remember as a kid ever staying in a motel or anything like that.
No.
I mean, if we did, I just don't remember it. That's how frequent it was. But we did always go somewhere in the caravan. Yeah. Sometimes it was just... there's a place called Chinaman's Creek, which isn't that far from Piri. Yeah. So sometimes it would just be something like that, or Talawi Gorge or something like that close by. But then every May school holidays we'd go down towards, like, through Arno Bay and Streaky Bay, and sometimes as far as Port Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah. We did that nearly every single lot of May holidays. Yeah. Fishing, because Mum and Dad liked fishing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So they'd sort of go and do fishing with some friends.
Oh, yes.
So there'd be a couple of families in caravans. Where else did we go? Oh, and we did sometimes go down. I do remember sometimes going down to Port Hughes and seeing my auntie and uncle and that. But I don't remember that being absolutely every year all the time.
Yeah.
The same as, whereas my auntie, it's just she knew that's what they did every year.
It's interesting because there's a lot of expectations around that with younger people too. And certainly we went on holidays because we could afford it with our business the last 20 years, but it wasn't every year either. It was more likely every other year that we could afford to, or made the choice to. And we were able to go to Queensland and stuff like that. Yeah, does there need to be a rethink with the way finances are going for young people to do that differently? Yeah, go camping instead of expect to fly.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what I did with my girls. Like, we went camping heaps. Yeah, that was how we had our holidays. And Mum was in the public service. So we were able to access, in South Australia, they've got holiday homes that you can access quite cheaply.
Yes.
So we would, once we were homeschooling, so we had flexibility. We didn't have to do holidays in school holiday time, so we could get those units super cheap.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because it would be holiday times.
Yeah.
I mean, off-season.
Off-season, yeah.
So you'd get a whole week. So we use that sometimes. I have to say for that was still actually all of our holidays, even our camping, I had to plan.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, plan and budget and save and all the rest of it.
Had to plan and save for them, but that's how we did it. So we still did quite a lot of going away, but it was done on a budget.
Yep.
Yeah. Camp or go to people's places that you knew.
Yeah, camp out in the someone's lounge room type thing.
Yeah,
not quite couch surfing, but
yeah. Yeah, so the way we did holidays was different. Yeah. And we house sat occasionally.
Yes, that's right. I've forgotten about that. Yeah, we had to go to Sydney for a conference, didn't we? And you guys came and stayed here. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So that also was really good because, and there was another family actually that we house sat a few times for. So that was, the kids really saw that as a holiday too.
Yep.
Because their house was, he was a bank manager.
Okay.
So their house was just, they had I don't know, was it Nintendos or something like that back in the day? Something that we didn't have anyway. That was a bit more swish and of course the two bathrooms, not bedrooms, two bathrooms. Like that certainly wasn't something that we had.
Yeah.
So yeah, they saw that as a holiday as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. When money's tough, you just have to be a bit more creative about how you create those experiences.
Yeah.
And different expectations of what you want to get out of it.
We had city friends that were much better off than us, had a much higher expendable income, and we would go visit them, and they would go, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the movies? Do you want to go here? Like list off the things. And I'd just say, the kids are in the playroom, happy to play. Why just leave it be? Yeah, my daughter wasn't used to being overfed all this expensive stuff at that point. And and they sort of felt there was an expectation that you would go out all the time. And the other child actually said, I'm glad when they come because I get to stay home. And that's we're changing how we build houses now, that you don't have visitors, you don't entertain in a lot of places. So the cafe culture is good in a lot of ways, but then again it also increases your expenditure, because what's a coffee made at home? Maybe $2 max. And a coffee out is $7.50. I was watching something, I was seeing something, an ad, and it kept saying, for the cost of a coffee a day, you could do this, or for a cost of a coffee a day, you could do that. And I went, I don't spend that much on coffee. I'm not going to buy. I buy a coffee if I'm lucky once a week. So,
I admit, even when I was in a high-paying job, I rarely bought one coffee every day.
Yeah.
Almost always, and my kids laugh at me because they just think I'm just such a stinge. But it's like, I have thought that I was just the last of the big spenders, because I actually used to budget 3 coffees a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
that was just like, that was really big. And that was even when I was on high money.
But you get into
when I'm on low money.
But you get into that habit when you're on low money. So when I was a sole parent and just had the pension that was provided, I would do exactly that. You know, where it would be, I remember if we had enough once a fortnight or sometimes once a week, we would go to the takeaway shop and get chips and gravy to share, and a soft drink each. And that was that was our big thing for that fortnight or week. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we did a weekly thing. Often on a Sunday afternoon, we would get $4 worth of chips and a loaf of bread, and I'd take the sauce from home. And so we'd go and get our hot chips, our $4 of hot chips, and go to the park.
Yep.
And have hot chip sandwich, and that was our once a week treat.
Yep.
We certainly didn't get a hamburger or a steak. Like, there's no way I could afford that.
Yeah.
But the kids loved it, and I remember they would always look forward to that. Then when we would be saving for holidays and that, we'd even have the conversation, well, we can go and spend that $4. Like, we used to have a jar that we'd put our holiday money into, and I let them see me doing that so that they understood saving for something.
Yes.
And it would be like, well, we can go and get our $4 of chips, or we can put that $4 in our holiday thing. And sometimes they'd actually choose, oh, no, we'll go without that this week. Yeah. And we put it in our holiday jar.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
dear.
you think, $4 worth of chips probably wouldn't feed 4 of us, even with our chip sandwich.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. And the other thing I used to do was I would calculate, like I'd pay the rent and all the bills and everything else, and then you got to divvy up food and fuel and that. I would calculate what was critical fuel needs and how many kilometres, so I would have to limit where I drove to. So if it was looked like a cold and stormy week, I'd drive to school, but that would mean I'd have to lose something else because I'd have to pay for that fuel. And if I needed to go out of town from where I was living, which was probably once a week or a fortnight, then I would have to go, okay, that's going to cost me this much. Where does that come from? So literally calculate your mileage every fortnight, what you could afford. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, when you live out of town,
yeah.
because we lived out of town as well. So what was it? How many? I'm trying to remember. I think it was 25 kilometres to our nearest town.
The big town.
Yeah, like Clare. Because I think it was.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah,
I reckon it was about 25 kilometres. So, yeah, you've actually got to calculate that and allow for it.
You do.
There's a lot of petrol money.
Yes.
When you're on a really tight budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be careful and try and make sure that your appointments are on the same day.
Oh, yes.
And that you do everything at the same, on the same time. Because you couldn't afford to go into town twice a day.
We do that now, even have done all along. If we're going to Port Pirie, which is 40 k's away, if we're going there, we're going to fit in several things. So can we get a chiro? If we've got a X-ray to take, okay, let's go to the chiropractor. Let's do the big shop. What can we fit into that day so we don't have to spend any more on fuel? So.
Well, and it used to be a bit of a pain because if you'd have an appointment in the morning and then you've got to hang around and wait for your afternoon appointment.
Yeah.
But that's all right. We had friends that we'd visit, or we'd go to public library or the park, or sorts of things to do. But it had to all be planned.
Yes. Yeah.
And I actually find that cash can make it easier to budget.
I think so.
Than the electronic money. Yeah, and there's something to be said for on whatever your payday is, going down to the ATM, taking your money out and then divvying it up into its envelope.
Yeah.
This goes there, that goes there. Yeah.
I do that to a degree still. I pay my adjustment, the cleaner and a couple of other things with cash so that I can do that. And then, so I still do the budgeting, but I don't think a lot of young people are taught budgeting effectively. And that's our fault, partly because while they were growing up, we had more money, so we were not paying as much attention. We might have been doing it, but not teaching it, I think. But the old envelope or packet, system does work well.
It does work well. I mean, I don't use that now either. I use electronic.
Yeah,
I'm back here. When I went to Port Pirie, I actually would take out part of my money and did everything cash. But now that I'm back in Ballarat, then I'm back to just full electronic again.
So it's more city-like there, whereas that's interesting that it's changed back.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that again the other day, and I'm thinking, no, it just doesn't work as well with cash yet.
Well, there's some places that don't accept cash anymore.
Yeah,
I don't know.
A lot of places.
I don't know how that works because I thought there was laws about legal tender. But I know that, what's that donut place? They sell donuts in airports and stuff. Krispy Kremes. They have donut booths, I guess you call them. They don't take cash at all. It's only card. Yeah.
Okay.
Not that I eat them anymore, but...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's a number of places like that have somehow got around the laws. So, and then of course checks are changing. There won't be any after 2030.
Oh, okay. I hadn't caught up with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, checkbooks. No, not anymore. So, I mean, I have to write a check for Australia Post. Isn't that crazy? Because
I have still got my old checkbook, but I haven't written a checkbook for about 10 years.
Yeah. I have to do this for our association's post box, and they don't, you can't do bill pay and you can't do auto transfer. You can only do post bill pay, and of course we don't handle cash most of the time because we're an association. So, so I don't know what the Australia Post people are going to do later on. And then I had to coach, our former treasurer. He thought he would just keep going, doing things the way they are. And I said, no, those people don't accept checks. You can't pay them with a check. And he was just like, you know, what do I do? So there's a lot of older people that are going to be surprised when this fully fits in, but yeah, don't know.
Well, there's a bank account that I've just opened up called Up.
Okay.
Up it. Up. And it's actually owned by Bendigo Bank.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's a fully online, like electronic, but it's really easy. They've got these little savers that you can set up. So it's kind of like my old envelope system.
Oh, right.
So you can do it automatically. Your pay can come in automatically, and then you can set it up. So, you know, I don't know, say you get paid weekly and you want $20 to go to electricity and $15 to go to gas and I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And set it up in its little bucket, so it's like an envelope system.
Okay.
So
good.
I've just been using that recently. One of my daughters got me onto that.
Okay.
She's been using it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that works really. I quite like that.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh.
I like the ease of digital. Yeah. I'm glad I've gotten savvy with it, because even some people younger than me in our town don't have a clue. So hit the subscribe button below if you want to follow life hacks beyond convention.